Good afternoon, everybody. So I'm a scientist, and I'm Dominican. For a number of years, I was actually studying sponges. I was profusely passionate about sponges. And then in 2010, I decided that I wanted to bring it back to the people. So I decided to study fishermen, and I was going home. I was going to the Dominican Republic. Hence the red shoes. I'm going home. Okay? This story I'm going to entitle Far Out. If you're from the 60s, it's not what you're thinking about. And it's also the story about how I came to understand a new meaning in the words far out. So it is summer of 2011. And I have designed my own research to go to the Dominican Republic, to the North Coast, to study the fishermen. And before I get there, I'm actually in Tortola. And a friend is taking me to meet a fisherman. And I'm really excited. We're going down a winding road, and we park the car. The road, there's a house, and there's a small little business right next to the house. You have the road right next to these two buildings, and you can see the coast on the back. It's a hot day, and a fisherman comes out, and he's a really big guy. He's smiling, and we sit down on two folding chairs, and my friend is there as well. I don't remember everything he said. I remember having difficulty with his accent. So I was trying to listen very carefully, and he was referring to the fishing in the past, or the fishing now being far out. So these words stayed with me, and now I'm going to the Dominican Republic. So this was just a couple of days afterwards. In the Dominican Republic, I'm staying in Samana, which is on the northeast coast. And I learned that the fishermen gather around 7 in the morning, so I wake up really early. You really don't want to miss the first hour, because basically the fishermen gather, and then if there's nothing happening, they'll spread out and you won't find them. I go down and I meet Don Francisco. He's going to become my friend for a number of years. We interact, and I learn a lot from him. I learn about the ecology of the fish. I learn what the fishermen know in relation to the timing, the reproduction of the fish. And Don Francisco is telling me about the past and the present of the fisheries. He said in the past, the fishing was nearby and abundant. It was very diverse, and there was less fishermen. Actually, the fishermen in the bay said that the fishing was so abundant that they could take a palm leaf they call penca, swipe it along the coast, and they could fish shrimp. It was that easy. What I learned from the following years, 2011, 2012, and going back in 2013, was that the fishing had changed, and that now the fishing was farther out. There were more fishermen. You had to put more time into it. You had to. It was really difficult. Of course, one thing that was really difficult for me in the very beginning was that, if you notice my good American accent, in the Dominican Republic, even though I'm Dominican, I was perceived as a foreigner just because of the accent. So I remember that one way that I could relate to the fishermen was telling them that I actually fished with my grandfather, and that I fished with my grandfather in the west coast. And in this way, I gained their trust. And I also tricked them, reverting to my regional accent, which is very particular to the area of Cibao where I grew up. And this always brought a smile in their faces. So going back to what I was learning from the fishermen is that the fishing now is really far out, farther out. And what I came to realize is that it's not only about this distance, it's also about they're spending less time with their families. They are completely, spending more time out at sea. They are investing more into the fisheries, whatever little they make. You know, you can imagine a boat. They are putting multiple recipients of gas. They are putting food for a couple of days. They are putting ice, and they are also uncertain of how much they're going to bring in. And when I realized the meaning, you know, of this far out, you know, the farther out of the fisheries, I realized that aside studying the local ecological knowledge, aside studying the perceptions, we really need to bring them into the conversation and integrate the knowledge in a way that makes us realize the overall picture of what the fisheries are. And with this, I want to thank you.